This video is not intended to advocate the use of illegal substances.
In this video, I want to talk about my experiences with LSD and how they relate to Plato's Allegory of the cave. And before I get into it, I want to briefly get into the meanings of the terms worldview and psychedelic or psychedelic drugs. And worldview simply means a worldview is the fundamental cognitive orientation of an individual or society encompassing the whole of the individual's or society's knowledge and point of view. Yeah, I want to highlight this last part, the point of view. And the term psychedelic is derived from the ancient Greek words psyche, which means soul, and the word delune or delon, I don't know how you pronounce that, but that means to make visible or to reveal. So psychedelics are soul revealing. And another definition of the actual psychedelic substances that I want to read to you is psychedelics are a class of hallucinogenic drugs whose primary effect is to trigger non-ordinary states of consciousness. So with this in mind, we can dive into the topic. And I want to explain Plato's cave a little bit and then relate that to my experiences. So Plato's cave, I will also put an illustration somewhere here, is a thought experiment basically, where there are some people in a cave, and you will see this somewhere here in this illustration, and they are chained to the ground and they can only see one side, one wall of this cave. And behind them there's a fire, and this fire creates shadows, projects shadows onto the wall that these prisoners inside of the cave, you might call them, or these people see. And they've only ever seen these shadows. That's been their whole life. They've been stuck down there in this cave for their whole life. So what they perceive to be real, what's reality for them, is these shadows. That's their point of view. And in Plato's cave, one of them, or in the story, in the conversation, in the idea, one of these prisoners frees themselves and gets outside of this cave. And he sees the sun, he sees the trees, he sees nature, basically, for the first time. And in that moment, of course, he realizes, or he slowly begins to grasp, that these shadows are just very little part of reality, just a small abstraction of this fire, which in itself isn't even everything there is, because there's also the sun and everything else. So for me, LSD and some other psychedelics, but mostly LSD, has created this experience for me. And my shadows, or I might say our shadows, are all these thoughts in our mind about how reality is, or how it's supposed to be, and what's going on out there in this world and inside of ourselves. Because we also have so many ideas about what we are and why we are the way we are. And so when I experienced LSD, these psychedelic states of consciousness, or these non-ordinary states of consciousness, for the first time I was really able to see the beauty in the world. Of course, I've seen beauty before, but never to such an extent, never with this intensity. And I can distinctly remember how I was astonished by just trees, by there's a little tree in my room actually, by their complexity, by all the textures of their skin and their leaves, and how many leaves are there and how they're formed, and just everything about these trees. And also other parts of reality, but trees really stuck out to me. And now you might say, yeah, okay, that's because you took a really intense drug, and of course you will experience everything like crazy and then comes back to normal, and it's just a hallucination. But when I was sober again, or in the days after my first experiences and some of those experiences, I really started to pay more attention to trees and to reality, to nature, to the things, to the small things or to the simple things around me. And just by that, I had a new sense of beauty in this world. And of course, it wasn't as intense as on LSD, but it was a newly gained way of perceiving this world. And I will also make a separate video about how psychedelics led me to meditation, which for me is like the sustainable way or the more natural way to permanently be freed of this cage. Because for me, the experience has been more like, ooh, I'm outside of this cage, great. But then the effects of the LSD wear off, and then you slowly get back into this cage and you don't really know how to get out. But yeah, now I know, or at least LSD gave me the opportunity to realize that my whole worldview is just a really small abstraction, just a really small image of something that's so unfathomably huge and beautiful and intense and complex that my mind, my thoughts about it can never come close to that. But before I took LSD, when I was chilling in this cave, I had no idea that these shadows, that these images in my mind, that they are really far from reality or not even close. So, yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. If you want to see the other video about meditation and psychedelics, you can definitely subscribe to my channel. And yeah, in generally, I also talk a lot about meditation and how it helps me to come in contact with reality without being constantly distracted or dominated by my mind, by the shadows inside of this cave. So thank you for watching, and yeah, take care.